Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6. And we are continuing Barbarossa. We have successfully invaded. Oh, good, we've won there. Bulgaria, I also call it Bulgarian. What is Novorossetki, whatever. Taking that, and we have attacked the army units in the swamp. Battle of Luck. Okay. Encryption machine advance, yes, and that's this one that we are hugely way out in front of, and we're stopping again, if probably not ever to return unless we get some sort of major boost there. But hopefully that will, though of course there very well could be events getting America and or the British super decryption, which would be relatively historical, but without that I don't think they'll ever decrypt us. But that opens up another. Okay, well, we still got lots of officers. So active sonar. Yeah, we'll do that. We've had such painful experiences with carrier not doing so well. Yeah. Well, since you're moving out there, we'll follow up. Very happy to follow up on my allies. Okay, well, when one of these militia divisions gets across full time that pocket. Okay, you guys get back to naval striking. Gotta do some major adjustments up here. Plunging deeper there. We're coming up through there. Securing that now. I'll view that way. Yeah, these aren't going to be very big pockets in both either geography or size of unit. But hey, that's okay. This view, going through forest isn't really bad. Here, let's see. You can bombard them. Okay, here, let's... Yeah, I want you to attack my holding line troops. Actually, I think I want to move some of these guys up here. Okay, good. Got these guys here. Mountain troops. Now I think we got, yeah, my invasion force here. Move back. See if I can stick in three mountain divisions. No. I think this may be the problem, because that's two brigades. Yes, okay, and well, list of Jaeger divisions around. It's pretty big with that, so see if they can fit up. No, oh well. These guys, if they can invade straight into there from here, we want to do that. So we've got that closed up. Nice little pocket there. counterattack here. Use just all miscellaneous, yeah. Oh. They need attachment to somebody, but we don't have somebody good. Oh, they just got here, so they're not really ready. Counterattack against them. Good. Drop down to there. Okay. So terrain is somewhat immaterial here. We're going to take that as the fastest way. Oh, good. We've won in Odessa. Okay, you guys come down to there. Now you get to cross it through to there. Support that attack. You know, it's not everybody forward to the same place. And you attack or support that attack. Okay. We'll support this attack. And you move to there. Oh, good. Got that now. Your job will be to walk up these swamps. Come back to here. Okay, now, good old Papa Hoth. Fast as we can get to Rostov-on-Don. You get across. To here. You get across the river. Drive to there. Go. Gotta keep on these forces a little better. As you can see, we're doing pretty good punching in there. So this is just some of my sort of, we're winning, we're killing them, but just slowing up advance. So I think we're getting across there now, so that's good. So let's, everybody who's not moving, get moving. Just all real units. Okay. Alright, that'll be fine. Okay, so punching in on all of those. Very good. Get back up here. Okay guys, now that we're here, let's drive into Minsk. Get across this river. And up through here. Okay, well, pause. So let's speed them up. Now attack there. This is their support. Okay, sort of waiting for this, knowing this would happen. Lots of events, I think, just popped up. So we'll deal with that in just a second. Okay, very high popularity. Yay! We're super popular. Like we're in high school and everybody loves us. Okay, we won there. Okay, well, let's turn over to the flag. One, because right now that okay, you're in the middle of that battle. You're not battling anybody, so you go there. And you get to go there. Okay. Divisiones Azul arrives. The Blue Division, or Division Azul, were combatants which were allowed to join the German army coming all the way from Spain to fight in the Red Army. Most of them were veterans of the Spanish Civil War, arriving in Germany and receiving uniforms of the Wehrmacht. The Phalangists refused to abandon their blue shorts worn in lieu of regulations, so the division became known as the Blue Division. Yeah, they were technically allowed to wear their well, you know, they very well may be wearing blue shirts under the jackets, but they were allowed to wear a blue shirt, a Phalangist type uniform, a Spanish Army type uniform, away from the front. Now I don't know how much time they were roaming around, you know, on leave or what, not exactly when that was allowed, but that was technically allowed. But once they were in combat, the idea is that they can't be wearing Spanish uniforms because Spain is not in the war. They have to wear German uniforms to be properly combat, you know, properly dressed. So yes, we will do this. Get help from Spain. Okay. Frivilligen Battalion Nordost. The Finnish Frivilligen Battalion der Waffen-SS was a Finnish volunteer combat unit of the Waffen-SS. The unit was sent to the Eastern Front in January 1942 and took part in battles along the Mias River and later the Caucasus Campaign in 42, forming the vanguard of further southern advances for the Germans during the campaign, reaching Grozny oil fields before finally being pushed back by the Soviets. Cool. Swedish volunteers. Because Sweden was a strict neutral in World War II, other than during a short experience in the Winter War, 1939, it did not openly allow recruitment into foreign armies. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union, its sentiments changed very little, although the Finns were allowed to garner volunteers once again. Approximately 1,500 Swedes volunteered for service with Finland between 41 and 44. Yeah, there was very much a Scandinavian element, you know, Scandinavian joint defense element, feeling within the people and the governments of Sweden to allow the Finnish. But there was, in the hundreds is what I would call it, Swedes surreptitiously, shall we say, joining the Waffen-SS. As opposed to, because this is obviously a Waffen-SS guy, but yeah, they weren't openly recruited like you could sort of kind of do in, for the Finns. I don't know if they had, you know, recruiting stations, join the Finnish army here kind of thing, or if they just government allowed quiet recruiting around. I don't quite know the extent of it, but it was much more you had to show up like in a German port or somewhere, you know, under German control. My understanding is if you were a Swede wanting to join the Waffen-SS and go, hey, I'm here to join the Waffen-SS, you know, and as opposed to allowing recruiters running around Sweden openly. Okay, Soviet railways too wide. Talked about this before. That will have events that affect us in the future. Okay, big news in politics. We're going to lose a big chunk of money. Get that? New battle camp commander has entered the field. Okay. Officer recruitment didn't like that. Hit. Yep. Okay, Hitler takes control of the OKH. During the first years of World War II, the OKW needed Hitler's approval for orders to the OKH. This made commander of the OKH, Walter von Brauchitsch, de facto head of the German Wehrmacht officers. After German defeat outside of Moscow, 41, Brauchitsch was dismissed, and that Hitler appointed himself as commander. Now Hitler was Chancellor, President, and Commander-in-Chief. At this point, the orders of the OKH no longer needed Hitler's approval, as Hitler now began to participate in the war planning personally. Okay, well, Hitler become Chief of the Army. Chief of the Army here. We can look at Hitler. Chances of attack reinforced chance plus 10% or 20%. Defend reinforces chance plus 20%. Organization regain rate minus 15. So basically, that's not. I mean, the first two are okay. Attack reinforced chance, defend reinforced chance. I think we're because reinforced, as you probably most all know, is units not yet in that in the bottom half section of them getting into the top. That most always happens. So we have good enough generals to get in and reinforce units committed to the fight. So that's not quite useless, but almost. And organization regain rate, how quickly that happens, that is something that we need as much as possible. So that would be bad. We do currently have, von Brauchitsch currently. So supply consumption is plus 5%, but we have combat movement speed plus 10%, reinforcement organization rate plus 2.5, and armor decay minus 50% for practicals. I mean, you can go with like a spearhead specialist. That's enough, because that's sort of what I recreated here, but a little different for him, looking at the stuff and what he was supporting. You can do his Keitel as Oberkommander der Wehrmacht and really screw yourself. It's very much land organ. I mean, it's not perfect, but wasn't there another? Or he. I guess that's all that I have is unique for this. Oh yeah, he's this control freak here. Yeah, so we're gonna keep von Brauchitsch up here is where I was thinking. We have Oberkommando des Heers, Chief of Staff, move speed, reinforcement, chance, organization, regain rate 10%, mobile unit. So we're definitely looking at a mobile army. The other unique one here is Yodel. Not nearly like anything like Keitel is bad, but I don't, not great. Starting experience, he's sort of a good training organization officer, reinforcement chance, and organization regain rate, which is very good there. Just that movement speed is what I like a little better there. Now, of course, you can come down to it and put Guderian as he wasn't available earlier, and so I'm thinking now, do I want to put him as combat movement speed, organization unit, armor, okay. Yeah, I'm glad I'm looking at this now. Regain rate 10 and 10, so it's a complete wash there. Combat movement speed is even faster. Like I was saying, I don't think I need that. Or you can come down here as the School of Maneuver. Now this is just a generic one for von Manstein. I think we're gonna put in Guderian as this as Chief of Staff here. Just that combat movement speed is very good. Attack reinforcement, I don't care. That mobile unit practical did it. Decay, just a little worse, but better for that. So we're gonna change over to Guderian there. So that's a good move. Glad I sort of looked at that. Still want Reader and Goring in those places for various reasons, including that plus 5% resources. So even if you're looking to see somebody else a little better in some of the other things, he's helping out there. So we're going to go, which in a way maybe I should just do this for cheat-like, but I don't know if it removes anybody else permanently, so I'm not going to do it. It doesn't say it does, but we're going to do no thanks. Could have just done it to get that little bit of bonus. Now see, again, there is a problem with that event that we just had, is it presumes, and I bet you if I went and looked at the code, it would look at year 1941 or 42 plus, a couple 3 months in, post winter, Soviet Union controls X provinces, pick 5 or pick 20 or whatever it is, then fire this event, meaning we've attacked in 41, failed however much, either didn't get in or got in and had to fall back. So then that event happens. So that event is should be, just as a design philosophy, should be fired, should have a thing is set flag Barbarossa starting or something like that, and then have that event not happen so long as Barbarossa starting flag, and have something that can fire, have either a timer delay, a decay, you set that for 3 months or 6 months or something like that. And so then once enough time goes by and you haven't achieved those X results, then that fires. That would be just a way to do that. Okay. In the worsening crisis of the winter, Hitler came back into Mussolini. He offered contribute additional units, in particular requested Albanian troops. Okay, negotiate. I've already changed. Don't know if that's going to help us or not. Keitel meets the Hungarian leadership. Okay, there's Field Marshal Keitel and a Hungarian dude. Okay, for the sake of arguing the details of Hungary's large-scale military participation in the Russian campaign, Marshal Keitel, saluting here at his official ceremony of reception on the Cloudy Heroes Square, following Ribbentrop to Budapest during January 42, Berlin's original demand for Hungary's total military participation was eventually scaled back to about 50% of her military resources. Upon the latter's insistence, the Hungarian leadership faced considerable domestic opposition against a stronger Hungarian commitment and fear of also confrontation with Romania if her whole army would be engaged in Russia. There was still, as you can sort of tell from this, a lot of I move a little bit, the mouse moves and that happens. Okay, conflict between Romania and Hungary, and it can be seen partially with Hungary demanding all of this, feeling that, hey, Romania may want it back. They had fought in the wars on opposite sides in the previous time, so they weren't best buds. It was agreed that 3 army corps of total 9 divisions would be deployed on the Eastern Front. Strong Second Army was assigned to the German Army. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, they lose some popularity. Relations improved by 10. Goring meets with Mussolini in Rome. Okay. During visit of Hermann Goering to Italy in late January 42, the Duce, or El Duce, assured his German guests that of the promised 2 army corps, one would be available in March 42, while the other one within a few weeks later. So Italy is getting ready to send us some forces. Panzer Armee Africa crosses Suez Canal, the crossing of the rivers. A river that strategic position is essential to keep up the pace of our conquest. We need to quickly establish bridgeheads on the opposite side and secure positions in the next phase of our offensive. Okay, I guess so. Here is Group A. South crosses the Kerch Straits. Well, sort of. We've landed back here. Advance, advance. We're losing descent here rapidly. That's good. No, I like that. It's sort of a nice cluttered sort of image. This is, like, as we can see here, a nice good image. This is sort of often my preference. There's a nice good image with a added of a badge, a symbol, something to it. But I also like this in that I'm trying to convey a lot of information. I haven't even read this yet, but we've got a early Luftwaffe, it looks like, uniform here. Or maybe I'll read it in a second. NSFK guy, so that's presumably the guy in charge of all this. And then a bunch of pictures sort of telling a story of people doing things. Luna Gas, Lean Company, excuse me, hiccuping here a little bit. Motorized people trying to keep motorization trucks working. So that all sort of tells a story. A lot of information crammed in a small area. I like that. Operation Blue aimed to capture the oil wells in the Caucasus. Winner. Okay, I don't know if you read all this, but technical brigade oil. Okay, British brigade mineral oil. Okay, was established in late spring to allow the German advance in the North Caucasus to restore production to oil refinery. It was commanded by Luftwaffe General Erich Homburg. I presume that's him then. Many technical experts were recalled from their frontline services and integrated into this new unit together with civilian oil experts. After technical training of the technical brigade in Ploiești, the Romania received its equipment, mainly confiscated from French companies. The equipment included 100 deep drills, 225 conveyors, and until this is German, und 10 mobile distillation plants weighing 80 tons with a value of 8 million Reichsmarks. There were at least 2 battalions that belonged to the brigade. The technical, see, I've never even heard of this before. Battalion Mineral Oil 1A or A11 and B33. The brigade stab was eventually located in Krasnodar in the fall of 42, but parted Caucasus when German forces retreat into the Kuban. Brückenkopf, I think you mean like bucket or something here. Kuban, on the 10-man peninsula during 43-44, the brigade's technical companies were employed in the oil shale extraction in Estonia and oil processing facilities in Galicia, eastern Poland. Okay, I did not know anything about this brigade until reading this. This is fascinating. This, again, is the kind of thing which is that they knew they were going to be heading down here. They knew that there could be sabotage. I've watched a documentary about Baku, maybe about a year ago now, that they had really down in Baku made plans to destroy the oil fields. And there was a lot of preparation for that. So however much the Germans may or may not have heard of that, they realized it was a possibility. And this is the kind of thing that I've suggested that they should have set up for the Russian railway, in preparation for it. So we get, wow, okay, oil refining gain, but loses some manpower, supplies. Okay, money, don't like the money cost, but okay. I mean, I don't like it as in, I think it would cost supplies, because I don't think they spent money for this thing in the international exchange sense of it. Norwegian SS Volunteers, Reichsfuhrer SS Heinrich Hitler, such Expendewaffen SS, in foreign military volunteers for the crusade against Bolshevism. After the opening of Operation Barbarossa, a Norwegian volunteer unit was formed. Okay, National Gains Organization, hidden gain, popularity, cemetery gains, organization, a lot of gains. SS, Norwegian. I want to go look at that. There's a lot. Okay. Okay. I guess that's a little different than from what I have for Norway. because this is new to me, so it was made after my stuff. So I just, again, I sort of, I don't in any way question the other modders' the right to do what they want, obviously, or even the good of working together, that that they shouldn't add to it. But I just sometimes wonder, are they conflicting, because I don't have a motorized freewheeling, Legion for Norway, but I do have coming up in events covering the local, not Waffen SS, but the local SS Swedish volunteer force, which is a bit different, and which never got the local Swedish, or sorry, Norwegian SS force never got very big, because they were constantly, a fair number of Norwegians, and like I said, probably Swedes would show up at the border to join up, but be sent off to regular SS stuff. But the Norwegians locally would be recruited into this, sort of standard SS paramilitary type organization. And I say that because it's, it's partially a police force, it's partially, like the SA or SS, that, it's, you can be something else and join it. It's joining the organization, have to be the right qualifications, but not necessarily joining the SS Norge, meaning that you're volunteering to go fight on the Eastern Front. You're volunteering to work locally, and there's different statuses and assignments, reserve and full-time and whatever else. But the men that were joining that were constantly being siphoned off into this battalion here, and as this battalion gets either directly or partially as part of the Viking SS division, they were sending a lot of just manpower, in the sense of whether fully trained or partially trained, to go through the various trainings and then get set into units like Viking that were associated with Norway. Eventually there is a Norwegian Legion or whatever like this on its own too. So that is sort of, it got, its overall recruitment would be in the several thousands. I don't know exactly right offhand, or if there's even good records, but it never got big, because it would, a bunch of young men would join up enough, and then they would get, oh, you joined the local group, hey, why don't you come and be part of the real guys going and fighting, Bolshevism on the Eastern Front. And so then they would, going from joining that to joining the Waffen SS. Now, there were a lot of bit older guys, not necessarily, guys walking around with canes and barely mobile, but a bit older guys, or guys with other jobs or whatever, that wouldn't be heading off to the Eastern Front and would stay. So, and that kind of thing. And so that's why, there's sort of both units going on. Okay. Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler sought to expand the Waffen SS with foreign military volunteers to crusade against Bolshevism after the opening of Operation Barbarossa. Flemish volunteer unit was established. Okay, so various changes in politics, and we get the Flemish Legion. Good. Okay, Dutch SS volunteers, Reichsführer SS. Heinrich Himmler sought to expand. Yeah, okay, we read that. The other one, Norwegian recruitment in Denmark, was okay. The Dutch. Okay, well, this is also, although it says Dutch volunteers, it seems like the text is more about recruitment drive in Denmark was given an air of respectability by the support of the Dutch General Staff. Well, okay, this is the story as I understand the reality of the Dutch. The first batch of Dutch soldiers were actual Dutch soldiers. Oh, no, sorry, no, back up. Danish, because they're talking about Danish here. Unless they were making... Oh, well, look. Yeah, they're doing the same thing I was just doing here, and that, because I'm doing it because they're saying here, recruitment drive in Denmark was given air of respectability by support of Dutch General Staff Officer Lieutenant. Okay, so no, this is the Dutch, even though they're saying Denmark. Drive in Denmark. And they talk about for Danish. Okay, well, So okay, that just got me confused. Okay, so this is just a pure Dutch thing. So we'll talk about Denmark some other time, maybe in a second here when the event happens. Okay, so we're getting some Dutch. Now these units may disappear at some time as better divisions show up that are recruited from Partisan Republic of Uzis. Okay, was a short-lived liberated Yugoslavian territory in the first liberated territory in World War II, organized as a military mini-state that existed from autumn 41 and occupied Yugoslavia, and more specifically in the western part of the territory. The Republic was established by partisan resistance movements and administrative center was in the town of Uzis. In November 41, the first anti-partisan offensive German military occupied territory, while the majority of the partisan forces escaped towards Bosnia, Sandžak, and Montenegro and reorganized as at Foča in Bosnia. The leftist policies then pursued by Joseph Broz Tito substantially contributed to the defeat of the partisans in the Republic of Ustav. Because of this, the repression carried out by the communists, and because of the communists' intention to carry on a communist revolution, the population of Serbia turned against the uprising and against the communist insurgents. At the beginning of December 1941, the communists moved from Serbia to Bosnia and Montenegro. Yeah, this is one thing. Okay, so we've got some more problems here. This is one thing that my understanding, again, this is just my understanding, is that in many ways it was largely the Germans, if you will, harsh occupation that allowed the communists to even get anywhere near the support that they did, because there really was not popular support for communism in Yugoslavia. That's why you have the Chechnik guerrilla group that later mid-war was actually collaborating with the Germans. I mean, they were formed to fight the Germans, but they were collaborating with the Germans because of fear of the communists taking over at the end of the war. And so you have that going on. And if it really wasn't Germany's bad policies, I think the communists would have been shut down. Obviously, I think also what really sort of saved Tito and whatnot from losing the revolution, as it were, once the Germans were defeated, was the Soviet Union, of course. Okay, so we've got, even more of these guys showing up here. You go there. Okay, forged cooperation with the Chetniks. That's what I was talking about. When Germany invaded Yugoslavia, she met the Chetniks, an organization trained and adopted for guerrilla warfare. Although there were some clashes between German and Chetniks as early as May 41, Mikhailovic thought the resistance in terms of setting up an organization which, when time was right, would rise against the occupying forces. Throughout the war, the Chetnik movement remained mostly inactive against occupation forces and increasingly collaborated with the Axis, eventually losing its international recognition as Yugoslavia's resistance force. As early as spring 1942, the Germans favored collaboration agreements with the Ustashi, and the Chetniks had established in large part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Since the Ustashi military was supplied by and immediately subordinate to the German military occupation, the collaboration between the two constituted indirect German-Chetnik collaboration. Okay, so local revolt risk is going down. There's some region here. Okay, we also have... No, I think they're going to take care of that. So you definitely have the situation that is my evaluation. Again, I'm not an expert in Yugoslav affairs, but German heavy repression keeps people joining the partisans, They don't necessarily. A lot of them don't join because they believe in communism. They join because bad actions by Germans or the Ustashi and other ethnic clashes going on at this time that get really bad. The Ustashi do really bad things. That happens. That's part of it, and so the partisans stay around in existence, and the Chetniks are looking at, as is said or hinted at, reforming themselves up as a guerrilla army, but not actively fighting because they were waiting for the moment to expel the Germans, as opposed to simply giving the Germans daily problems. And that sort of makes sense. The British, particularly, which operated in there, and I knew a woman who actually parachuted into Yugoslavia during World War II to coordinate things with the partisans mainly. So she was part of the SOE. Talked to her a little bit about it. It was sort of hard at the time because the Yugoslavia was breaking up, and she was heartbroken over the. I knew her for other reasons. She was heartbroken over the not so much the breakup of Yugoslavia. I think that a little bit was the situation, because she had other connections there too. But she over the ethnic violence, ethnic cleansing, and some of the bad Serbian actions, and so she was heartbroken over that. She really didn't want to talk about it too much, so I can't really say I got any great or wonderful in-depth information, but I did talk to her a little bit about it. And so, so the British were trying to support the various groups to cause problems for the Germans. If you blow up a railway bridge, especially with a troop train on it, you disrupt German activities. I don't think they were so worried about, I don't know, shooting up every little police station. And I'm talking like in 1942, 43. They weren't worried about shooting up every little thing all the time. They wanted to do some effective targeted stuff that would really, as the British saw it, cause security problems in that, you need to now guard every bridge. Now, of course, the Germans would go out and level the nearby town and maybe kill everybody in the nearby town. So, there's pissing off the population. So you go from having a potentially supportive or disinterested population, now one outraged. So the Germans were contributing to this. But so the British wanted to disrupt the flow of supplies and whatnot to Greece that were then used to attack here and disrupt things, so that they were looking at it as, what can we do today to disrupt Germany to get them to send troops in other places. Well, the Chetniks were going, well, yeah, but the Germans are sort of beastly to us when we do this, so we just want arms and equipment. So once Germany's getting ready to collapse, and they believed that Germany was going to collapse, they would be ready to rise up and secure Yugoslavia at the moment in which they thought they could achieve the goal. That makes a certain amount of sense. And it's not just like, the day before the Allies arrived, but it's like, if Germany's strained everywhere and starts removing troops, then they would rise up and throw them out. Much like what happened in Denmark, and where it was towards the end, when they really had the opportunity, the Danes rose to actively throw out the Germans. They were looking this way. But as the partisans were gaining more and more support, the Checheniks, which I don't know that I can clearly state exactly what their ideology was, there's definitely support for the Serbian, and I'm saying it that way, the Serbian monarchy within that. Not that they were diehard monarchists or that they were fascists. I don't know their whole mix, but they were, shall we say, not communists. And whatever their government was going to be at the end of this, because you can have, like there's many countries that we would generally consider a democracy, and you can still have a king as sort of like, hey, yeah, he's sort of there and he's sort of there to like make sure the Constitution isn't overthrown, so that if theoretically, if some party comes in and acts too crazy, the king can come in and order the army to get rid of the potential dictator. Oh, like what happened in Italy when the king got rid of Mussolini. Now obviously that was sort of late in the war, and most of the damage done, but that's the concept. So it's not necessarily that you support the king that you're looking for direct monarchy government, daily rule by the king. So they very well could be various ideologies, but they weren't communists. But they were afraid that the communists were going to win, so that's when they really start collaborating more and more. And I also think the Chechens to some degree realized that they might not be able to save Yugoslavia as Yugoslavia in the sense of what it was before this. Actually, obviously, it grew because they got some of the Italian coastal port areas that had, they hadn't had before. But that, they might have to make a post-war settlement with Croatia as a nation over here, but still have half, 2/3, whatnot of which maybe even territory that's blue here now that would be part of this greater Serbia. At least that's my understanding of the situation. Okay, well, this episode's gone on long enough. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos, and if you have better historical information, corrected historical information, or whatever, please post it on some of these issues. I'm going off of what I remember reading about the different stuff and talking to people. So thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.